Have you ever been sent on a mission by your spouse, right? Maybe you were sent to the grocery store or something along those lines. And so I was sent on a mission one time and I was given an assignment. And it was not a big assignment. And I was sent to go get some milk for our house, right? I was like, hey, you got to get some milk. And it's not as easy as it sounds. I'll just tell you it's not as easy as it sounds, because you walk into the grocery store, it's very difficult just to go get a half gallon of milk, right, or a gallon of milk. When I was a kid, milk was milk. Like, it just was. There was whole, skim, 1%, 2%. I don't know where the other 98% went, but that's what it was. There was no such thing as plant-based, lactose-free, vegan, non-GMO. None of that existed. I have no idea where all that came from. There was cow's milk. There was goat's milk. Now there's oat milk, soy, coconut, almond, milk, and almond. How do you do that? What do you do? I mean, I don't understand. Or coconut. I don't, see, the problem is that I was at the grocery store and I was staring, and sometimes you just look at it and you just go, like, it used to be just so simplistic. And now you look at it and there's just so much of it. And so at our house, my daughter is allergic to regular milk, apparently, right? She can't have milk. And so she has to have oat milk. And she prefers Oatly, right? And as I was at the store, I was looking, and all of a sudden, I saw the glorious thing that happened. The 1 half gallon of Oatly was there. But I could also see somebody else there that was looking at going, they wanted that same thing. And see, the problem is I'm a pastor. And so as a pastor, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go, oh, here, it's yours? No. You know what I did? I put my head down, went over, grabbed it, put it in the cart, and walked away. Why? Why would I do such a thing? I mean, I shouldn't have gone, well, bless you, you take the last one. Why would I do that? No. See, here's the thing. Putting ourselves first is one of the most natural things we do. Putting ourselves first is one of the most natural things we do. And just think about it. Take a group photo with 5 of your friends. What do you look at first? You look at yourself. You look at it and you go, oh, see if there's somebody blinking, maybe a girl has hair in her face, maybe somebody else is staring off in the distance. None of that matters as long as you look good in that photo. None of it matters as long as you look good at it. You look at it and you're like, yep, that one's good for me. We can use that one. Go ahead, post it. I don't care if you look bad. That doesn't matter. See, the world we've gotten to is we do what's best for me. We do what's best for me. And we go, we deserve me time or my time. And my needs need to come first. And that's just kind of the world that we live in. And when you hear this often from people, I need to focus on myself right now. I need to focus on me. Yet, God's word says something different in Philippians 2. By the way, I just want to let you know, before we really get into the meat of this, you should know that today's message is very rough. You are going to walk out of here going, man, was he talking to me? Because I feel like I got a little bit of a butt chewing. I was. So just know I'm talking to all of us, not just you, but all of us. So here's what it says. Philippians 2. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. This is what Scripture tells us. It says, don't look at yourself. It's not my time, it's we time. That's what it's supposed to be. See, God's word says do nothing out of selfish motivations. But our culture preaches something completely different. Our culture preaches that we're supposed to do, so it won't flicker. Just look at that side. See, we're not supposed to do it, and our culture teaches us that we're supposed to do the exact opposite. And see, you're supposed to do what sounds good, what feels true. You're supposed to do almost nothing in this world. And see, this world says you can't truly love others unless you love yourself, is what our world says. You have to, so treat yourself good. You deserve it. See, self-care is not selfish. This is what the world is telling us. The world tells us you can't pour from an empty cup. The world says you need to live for yourself. You don't need to justify your actions to anyone. You can cut anyone out and it doesn't really matter if that doesn't add to your life. Just cut them out. Just move on from them. You don't owe anyone anything. That's what the world is telling us. Don't feel guilty. You come first. See, that's what we are told on a regular basis. And see, what it is that you see this heartbreak that's happening to this generation. You just look and people, I don't know if you guys know this, that the more that we continue to push in this direction, the more separated we come from other people, the more separated we become from other people, the more lonely, the more depressed, the more anxious, the more all these things that are happening, that we go, this me time is not working out really well for us. I just want you to know, me time sucks. Me time is actually causing us to get more and more and more depressed. So here's what it says, what Paul's talking in 2 Timothy. He says, but mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves. Let's just think about this. Themselves. They'll be taking all these selfies. It'll be all about them. They'll be lovers of money, boastful, proud, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Having formed of godliness, but denying its power. And see, just thinking about this is that they'll be lovers of themselves. And see, it's unsettling is that when we can love myself, or I can love myself, the problem is when we start to obsess over ourselves. And I think that what happens is, and if we're not careful, self-love creeps into churches as well. It becomes all about the membership. It becomes all about everything inside of the building rather than the actual focus of what we were commanded to do is go out and reach others. Go out into the community. Go out. And see, what ends up happening is we become a self-centered Christianity. See, most of us know we were created to serve God, and we live as if God exists, but to serve us. That's really where we've gotten to. We believe in God, but we have this me-centered belief. It's me, more me. I love have you ever watched Finding Nemo, the little pelicans that are on there? Mine. That's what our lives are. This is mine. This is me time. It's all about me. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. Mine. And that's what our lives have turned into. Our lives have turned in kind of this, how do we get more? And we deny the power of God often. We deny what he can do in our lives. We claim to love God, but we love ourselves much more than we ever love God. Whew. I'm going to tell you, it's going to get rough, guys. It's just going to get rough. See, we are a generation, I just want to kind of blow your mind a little bit, that we obsess over self-care. We obsess over self-care. We prioritize ourselves. We guard me time. We protect. I'm protecting my mental health. I'm going to do what's best for me. But as we're doing this, we're more anxious, we're more stressed, and we're more depressed all going through it. Maybe the problem is that we don't love ourselves enough. Maybe that isn't the problem. Maybe the problem is that we love ourselves too much. Maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe it's that we love ourselves too much. See, when you look to the words of Jesus, he gives us this greatest command, and he says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, and with all of your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. See, the first one is love your God, all of your heart. And the second one is love your neighbor. How? As you love yourself. See, some people conclude here that Jesus is commanding you to love yourself. That's what some people conclude. They look at this and they go, well, you can't love others if you don't love yourself. If you're not, like, what am I supposed to do? So I have to be focused on myself. I have to be focused here. See, Jesus doesn't tell you to love yourself. Why? Why doesn't Jesus tell you to love yourself? Because loving yourself is not a commandment, it's an assumption. Jesus assumes that you are going to take care of yourself, that you're going to love yourself, that you're going to clothe yourself, that you're going to feed yourself, that you're going to do things. Jesus assumes, it's an assumption that he goes, you are going to provide for yourself. You're not going to starve yourself to death. You're not going to go without water. You're not going to go without these things. That's the assumption. Is it an incorrect assumption? Is anybody in here in disagreement going, I'm not going to provide for myself? And see, the thing is that he's going, now give to others that same way. Love others the way that you would love for yourself. And he's not talking even just extravagant. He's just talking simplistic things. Take care of one another, provide for one another, feed one another, give water to one another, take care of one another. He's not saying, hey, you should pay for one another's vacations. You should do, that's not what he's saying here. Love others as you love yourself. You provide for yourself. You take care of yourself. And it's not saying that we're supposed to go, see, he's not saying do something that's unnatural. Doing what's natural to yourself is what he's saying. What is natural for you? He doesn't have to tell me to love myself. I do it naturally. Well, if that's the case, how do I naturally take care of the people around me? How do I naturally love those around me? How do I naturally take care of those around me? And see, when Jesus says love your neighbor as you love yourself, he doesn't say love yourself, prioritize yourself, assume that you already do. That's what he assumes. He's looking at it and going, I know that you're already doing this. Now take care of others the same way. See, many people say there's things that I don't like about myself. Some of you might agree with that, right? Now, I don't like this. Some of you may go, I don't like that I have wrinkles. I don't like that I have a pooch. I don't like that I have thicker legs or thinning hair. Not a fan. Like I look in the mirror and I go, I'm not a fan. I can do things without. So here's the thing, I could go, I could really get rid of these toes. I don't like my nose, But Melissa would say, she's like, I don't mind your nose, but I am not touching your toes. Like, that's just how it is. This is how it goes. Like, if I ever need to change my socks, like if I get to that point where I can't do it, she's like, yep, you're going without socks, buddy. Better find some slip-ins. See, think about it. What we don't like about ourselves isn't due to a lack of self-love. It's a result of self-obsession. That's the problem. We self-obsess about we get in front of the mirror and we go, I really don't like that. Or I don't like this. I don't like these things. And it's not because of like, I'm not taking care of myself, or I'm not feeding myself, or I'm not doing this. And see, it's just because we continue and we always pick apart the worst things about ourselves. We always think, and we're like, and we obsess about it. You want to be a disciple of Jesus? It doesn't say anywhere that those who want to be my disciples must be pampered. He must pamper himself. He must put himself first. He must live for himself. In fact, Jesus explains going to Jerusalem knowing that he's going to suffer horribly. He's going to die, and 3 days later, and Peter says, no way. And Jesus calls him Satan out of this. As Peter says this, there's no way that this can happen. And then Jesus says to the disciples, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. That's Matthew 16:24. Now, we read this casually. We read this and we look at this and go, we got to take up our cross. Now, I want you to step back 2,000 years, and I want you to, when you read this, take up your cross, it is a whole different statement than what you can just read here very simplistically. And the reason why, he's not telling you right now, he's not saying, hey, try to be nice, go to church, watch your favorite YouTube preacher, go to the gym. That's not what he's saying here. He's not saying deny yourself these things and pick up your cross and go. Here's what he's saying. He's saying deny yourself. And this line, pick up your cross, is an actual very difficult. This is like when he says this, they're like, did he say that? Did he actually say that to just come out of his mouth? And because they would ask, is he serious about this? He can't be asking this. And the reason would be shocking to you is because the disciples were hyper aware of the most bloody uprising in Jewish history. They were hyper aware of it. And so what happens is and it's mentioned in Acts 5:37. So if you want to look at this, it's just mentioned here in Acts 5:37. Less than 30 years earlier, Jews revolted against the Roman tax, the Roman government and tax. And when this happens, Jews were slaughtered. Jewish rebels were killed. Survivors were captured, and Romans told them, take up your cross. And what would happen is you would drag that cross down the street in front of Jewish people, and if you laid that cross down, that is where they crucified you. And so they would dig the hole right there in the middle of the street, they would put you up on the cross, and then they would crucify you right there. And it was a deterrent because the Romans didn't remove the bodies. They left them there. They would not take them down. And so just imagine if you were to walk down Main Street after somebody told you, take up your cross, and there was crucifixions, there was people being crucified in the middle of the street, or they would die, and they would be left there. And historians tell us that skeletons were left there for years. They were left there for years. So just imagine you're walking down the street, and there's people that have been crucified because they laid the cross down there. And so when Jesus is telling you, take up this cross, the repercussions are if you drop the cross, you become crucified. You get this, and everybody's going to laugh at you, and people are going to say this. And so when he's saying you have to deny yourself and be willing to do the work. Some people would even come off, and some scholars would say, it's nearly the exact same spot that a disciple's relative was very likely crucified on a cross, where he makes this statement. And so when he says, take up your cross, this is one of those things, could he actually say that? It's so much easier for us just to gloss over it. It's so much easier for us just to read it and go, oh, take up my cross, I'll watch this, or I'll do this, and I'll try and, but what he's really saying is take up and know that you're getting ready to do the work. Get ready to know that it's getting ready to be more than this. Jesus says, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. When you come to Jesus, most of us, we celebrate. Most of us will go out and we'll even share it with other people. We'll talk to people about it. We'll say, hey, this is what happens. But what we don't do is we don't promote it on, hey, I'm saved, and we don't promote it out on YouTube or on Facebook or on anywhere else. We don't indulge ourselves. We're supposed to die to ourselves, is what it tells us. Scripture says you're supposed to die to yourself. In Galatians 2:20, it says, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. As followers of Jesus, you have denied yourself. You're saying that it's no longer about me. In Romans, it says that I'm going to be a living sacrifice, that I will die daily in order to live for Jesus. I will continue to be a living sacrifice. I'll continue to put away my things. I'll continue to give up all the things that I'm struggling with. I'll continue to give up my hurts. I'll continue to give up all these things, and daily I will die again to Jesus, and daily I will continue to live for him. If you know somebody who's an addict, what is it? It's one day at a time. Each and every day, it's one day. As a follower of Christ, it's one day at a time. One day growing closer, one day growing into what he's called us to be, one day at a time. And the problem is, it does not involve a whole lot of us, it involves a whole lot of him. We have to get better at going, I am living for him, and recognizing that he's going to take care of us. We have to stop with all these selfish desires. See, if we start to go, I have been crucified with Christ, I no longer live. Life isn't about me, my wants, my wishes, my will, and see, that's the thing, is that I have to go, I'm dead to that sin, and I'm dead to myself, and I'm dead to my desires because Christ lives in me. That's where we have to be at. Now, the selfish side will continue to rise up. I want you to know it's not going to go away. So you have to continue to say, self, you died. That's gone. Don't listen. And see, here's the thing. How many of us are really upon listening to dead men? Like if somebody came in and was like, hey, and just ask yourself and start looking at it and go, what am I doing? What am I listening to? Where am I going? Which direction am I going? How am I living? What am I doing? Are you living for Jesus daily? Are you living for Jesus daily? Or are you self-obsessed and living for yourself daily? And see, I'm not saying that you have to give up everything. I'm not saying that you have to just go and become a monk and not have anything and just wear one robe for the rest of your life and just, I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying you can't have nice things. And I'm not saying that you can't do things that you enjoy doing. And I'm not saying you can't go on vacation. And I'm not saying any of those things. But when that becomes your priority, When that is everything above everything else, and it's above Jesus, and it's above, if you're going, well, I'm going to go, and I'm going to go take this trip, and it makes it to where you're putting others, and you're neglecting others, and you're neglecting your family, and you're neglecting other people around you, well, then you're being selfish. And if you get to this point where you start going, I'm doing these things, and it makes it to where it's more about me than what I'm doing around me or for these or for people around me, then you're being selfish. You have to get better at dying to your desires, your wants, and start learning to love God and love others. What am I doing? So I asked this question. If you have a notes up, if you have it in the app, if you have it open, in what area of your life are you loving yourself more than loving God and loving others? And what area? And I gave you a whole lot of room because I think a whole lot of us have a whole lot of space to fill in. What area are we loving ourselves or whatever thing that you have going on than you are in loving God and loving others? When was the last time you talked to somebody? When was the last time you saw somebody hurting? When was the last time you saw somebody that was on the side of the street and not give them money, but to love on them? To actually ask them, how are you doing? Or do you just continue not to make eye contact with them? You just, if I make eye contact, then I feel guilty, and so I don't want to do that. You just, see, what is it that we're doing? How are we loving others? Because I'll just tell you now, I want to just tell you, and this is not part of my notes, but this is the vicious cycle of homelessness and people that are on the streets. So some people are there because of mental illness. Some people are there because of some bad choices. Some people are there because of addiction. Lots of different reasons. But let me tell you something. It gets worse when people start to ignore you. I don't care what reason you're there for. If you're there for homelessness, if you're there because bad decisions, you're there for addiction, whatever it is, it gets worse when people won't make eye contact with you any longer. All of a sudden, it drives you deeper into depression, which drives you deeper into addiction, which makes it to where sometimes you start to use illegal substances rather than substances that are prescribed to you, or any of those other things. And what happens is that drives you deeper and deeper and deeper into depression, which eventually, as you continue to use substances to get out of that, drives you into psychosis. Because we're not loving people, we're literally driving them crazy. It's an actual coalition. It goes together. It's not one of these things that I'm going, oh, we should love people. No. Just talk to them. Just love them. You can just do exactly what Peter and John did. Money I don't have, but what I do have is I have love. What I do have is I have a church that will give you shelter. And if they go, oh, I don't want shelter, then you go, well, I did my part. I communicated with you. I loved you. I tried to help you. You don't want help, move on. You don't have to continue to ride with it longer than that. You just move on. But where is it that you are loving yourself more than you are loving others? Where is it that you're loving yourself more than you're loving God? Is it with your finances? Is it with your time? Is it with your TV? Is it with your radio? Where is it? Because I can promise you, if you start doing a self-assessment, you can start finding it and start going, these are the places that I'm loving myself more than I'm loving God. And see, then the next question comes in, what is God calling you to do about it? What is God telling you to do about it? You just start thinking about this. I started seeing, we've all been, last night, so first off, I found myself pretty lazy lately. Like, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to do anything. I don't even want to walk my dog. And so last night, Melissa kicked me out saying, I need to practice. You have to go away. Kicked me out of my office. And she said, why don't you go walk your dog? And I go, that's a great idea. I made some coffee, grabbed the dog, and I went for a walk. And as I was walking, I was spending time with God, and I just recognizing this little thing that I'm being lazy and I'm just ignoring and neglecting has made it to where I've gotten closer to God more in this 40-minute walk than I had prior. Well, this last week was pretty good, but the prior week before that. And I looked and I said, the little things are big things. And so these little things, so God may be just asking you to do a little thing in order to get closer to him. So maybe you give up some TV time so that you can walk with him in nature. Maybe you give up some time, wherever in order to get into a small group so that you can be connected. Maybe you give up some time so that way you can have somebody that upholds you and lifts you up and continues to speak affirmations into your life. Maybe you stop trying to do it on your own and you find a way to love others. What is God asking you to do? What is God calling you to do about it? See, I will tell you is that for me, I am most selfish when I don't spend time with God. I am. I'm most selfish. It becomes me time, my time. And when I don't take and I don't honor my schedule and I don't study the way that I'm supposed to, I find that I don't take care of myself the way that I'm supposed to, and I withdraw. See, I withdraw because I need to fill up. I need to spend time with them. I need to spend time with Jesus. You probably need the same thing. See, most of us, we're spending too much time being filled up by the world. We're being filled up too much by the world. And you can just look, how much time are we spending on social media? How much time are we spending in front of TV? How much time are we spending in front of these things that are not of God, not from God? And you just look at it and go, that's being fed by the world. And if you're one of these people that's being fed by, like, I just want you to know something. It's really it's kind of almost comical. So if you might be a CNN fan or a Fox fan or an MSNBC fan or any of those things, did you know they recently just came out, all of them just recently came out and said, hey, we're no longer news stations, we're entertainment. Did you know that? They came out and said, we're not a news station, we're entertainment. Because if you classify yourself as a news station, you have to actually give facts. No more opinion. And so they've come out and go, no, we're entertainment. And see, what are you being filled with? Are you being filled by one of those, just some form of entertainment? Are you being filled with whatever is out there? Like, are you just like, hey, I'm going to watch this? Like, I don't know, I can't call her out. She'll get mad at me. But see, here's the thing. Start looking at it and start seeing what you're doing. Oh, you want to give me crazy eyes? I'll call you out then. Oh, I was moving on, but you... I can see just fine. I can feel him stabbing me right now. Like, wait a minute here. I got some things here. See here, every day we have to get better at going, I have to die to myself. I have to die to my desires. I have to die to these things so that way I can find the joy in serving, in listening, in praying. I have to start giving these things up. See, I want you to know that the most important things are not what you accomplish. The most important things are not what you accomplish, but by how you love. How you love. That's the most important thing. See, I will tell you right now, I do not want people at my funeral, and I know that it's hard to think with the end in mind, but I think that it's healthy to think with the end in mind sometimes. But I don't want them to show up at my funeral and get up, and I don't want my son to get up and be standing here because, he'll be the one that talks because my two daughters don't know how to get up in front of people and talk. But he'll get up and he'll say, my dad accomplished so much. Does that sound what I want? I don't want him to say that. What I want him to go, I want him to get up and go, my dad loved so well. He loved me. He loved my mom. He loved my family. He took care of us. He put us first. He always continued to love. He loved people around him. It's not about what we accomplish. I can tell you right now, Jesus didn't call us to promote ourselves, but to humble ourselves. Jesus didn't call us to pamper ourselves, but to deny ourselves. Jesus didn't call us to serve ourselves, but to serve others. Jesus didn't call us to put ourselves first, but to put ourselves last. Jesus didn't call us to seek out pleasure, but to pursue God's purpose. That's what he calls us to do. That's what God says, hey, this is what I want you to do. And see, those who follow Jesus are not, and it's not one of these things that we're not supposed to self-love or self-affirm, but we have to get better at being willing to self-deny ourselves. Say no to these things so that we can say yes to greater things. Doesn't mean not to take care of yourself. Doesn't mean that you can't get a nap. Doesn't mean that you can't play a video game every once in a while. Doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have sweet treats. It just means that you need to be able to go, I need to be able to give up some of these things on a regular basis so I can do what the greater purpose is. See, most of us, if our motivation is just self-care and it's only yourself, you're just being selfish. And so that's what we need to get rid of. If my motive is self-care, so I'm mentally, emotionally, and physically and spiritually healthy so I can love God and serve others and love others, then self-care isn't selfish. You see the difference here? There's a difference. If your motive is so that you can do it for others, then it's not selfish. But you have to start looking and going, what is my motive? You know, most of us have tried prioritizing ourselves. I can just tell you right now, most of us have. We try and prioritize ourselves, and we're more miserable, more depressed, and more anxious than ever. Our problem isn't that we don't love ourselves enough. Our problem is we love ourselves too much. That's what our problem is. We just love ourselves too much. See, you can't love yourself into lasting happiness. And you can't self-care your way into meaningful relationships or daily purpose or even financial peace. You just can't self-care your way. Because self-love is always about one thing: self. That's what it is. And self-love will never fill you. It'll never fill you up. It'll never fill the emptiness that you feel. It'll never fill the hole that you have in your heart like God's love will. It just never will. We have to get better at denying ourselves and following Jesus. We have to get better at it. I want you to think about something. So I kind of blew through my notes here a little bit, and I've gone over the time already, but I want you to think about something, is that in your life, you've always put yourself before certain things. And you've always said, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of me. It's going to be about this. And what I would ask you to start looking at going, what would God have you do? What would God have you do? And I've already asked you to put this in your notes. How would God have you change this? What calling would he put before you? What would he do? What would he change? And have you act differently? And then I would ask you to go, how am I going to step into that? How am I going to do it? How am I truly going to live and for God and for others? How am I truly going to do that? How am I going to be less selfish? How am I going to deny myself? What am I going to do? What am I going to start doing? And see, here's the thing. I love that there's a simple action that, like if you listen to motivational speakers and you start talking to people that are doing self-help books and everything, and they tell you, start with doing one thing and completion every day, right? And they say the best thing to do is just start by making your bed. Because as you complete that goal, then it becomes easier to complete the next goal. So every day you get up and you make your bed. And it just becomes, okay, well now I've already completed something. Let's do the next thing. Let's do the next thing. What can you do daily to start doing it to where you go, I'm going to start living out this calling that God has placed on my heart? What am I going to do? It's something small. Don't put something massive in front of you that you're never going to accomplish. Start with something small that you can do daily. What is it that you can do? What is it that you can put before you? What is it that you can go as simple as just making your bed? So what can I do to make it to where I have a win today? And then you can start going, I'll do the next thing, and I'll do the next thing, and then start building upon that. There's a book, it's called Atomic Habits, and that's what he's talking about. Build off of small, incremental, winning steps. Don't try anybody in here, if anybody ever know who Pinky and the Brain is? All right. What's the question every day? What are we going to do today, Brain? Same thing we do every day. We're going to take over the world. That's a big goal. That's a lot. So how do you do that? Well, we can't have this mindset of going, we're going to take over the world today, and we miss out on the small thing. How about we just get up and we brush our teeth? Because it's really hard to take over the world when your mouth smells funky. But you just have to start thinking about this and go, you have to make it to where it's digestible. Another philosopher comes out, I don't know who said it, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. One bite at a time. One small incremental step at a time. You're not just going to sit up in front of an elephant and be like, we're eating 3,000 pounds right now. It's not going to happen. You and everybody in this room aren't going to do it. But we have to start looking and going, how do we do this one step at a time? And so what is your one incremental step to be able to step into what God is calling you to do? What is the small thing? God may be calling you to lead a small group. God might be calling you into ministry. God may be calling you into something. What is it that he's calling you to do that you need to deny yourself and step into doing it? It's just one small step. Maybe it's take a class. Maybe it's lead a small group. Maybe it's just open your house up for a small group. Maybe whatever it is. Maybe it's just stepping out into something new. But you have to figure out what that small step is so that way you can take the next one after that. I love what the prophet Elisha says. The prophet Elisha comes out and says, because they're begging him for water. We're starving. We need water. The crops are dying. What are we going to do? And he tells them, go out and dig holes. And why would we go dig holes? Well, where are you going to put the water when God delivers? Where are you going to put the water? Where's it going to go? You have no place, no reserves, no place to put it. Well, the same thing goes for us. Where is God going to place the blessings if you have no place in your heart for it? If you haven't prepared yourself for what God's going to do and you have only just been selfish about everything that you're doing and you filled up your heart with all your selfish desires, where is God going to pour the blessings out to? Where is it going to end up at? Where is it just going to overflow off of you? How many of us are we so self-absorbed and so self-obsessed that we've missed the blessings that God has poured upon us? That we just haven't even acknowledged it, that we haven't even seen it, that we just it just hit us and it just bounced off because it had no place to go. Because we weren't looking for it, we weren't expecting it, and we didn't think that God was going to deliver it because we thought we had to do it ourselves. We have to get better at going, this is what God has in store for us, this is the direction he has for us, and this is the life we're going to live. But it starts with just one small step. Don't try and do it all today. Don't go from, hey, well, Mike, I'm going to put away my 15-hour-a-day Netflix habit in order to spend 15 hours a day in the Bible. You will hate the Bible after that. But start with 5 minutes. Start with 10 minutes here. Start with a phone call. Start with just reaching out to somebody and going, hey, I want you to know that you're loved, that you're cared for. Guys, I got back yesterday and I reached out to people. Hey, do you need some help? Do you need some things? I just wanted to check on you. Just wanted to see how you were doing. Just wanted to let you know you were loved. Small things. But I can tell you on the other side, those are huge things to other people. When they receive that, they go, wow, like Mike actually cares about me. Mike loves me. Mike wants to see the best for me. Do people acknowledge that about you? Do people acknowledge that you want the best for them, that you love them, that you care for them, that you want them to be their best self? Because if they don't, then you're selfish. And that sucks. Like I told you, you're going to walk out going, man, it hurts a little bit. And it's supposed to hurt a little bit. Because we're not called to be selfish. No place does it say in the Bible, thou shalt be selfish. It says that we should be sharing, we should be giving, that we should love others as we love ourselves. Is that what you are? Nope, you can't have that because that's theirs. No, you go, I'm going to get that. I'll do what I need to do. I'll share a story with you guys, and then I'm going to close up in prayer. But almost 20 years ago, I was working at a bar, in case you guys didn't know that. I was a heathen. And 20 years ago, a crowd of females walked in the door, and one of them caught my eye, right? And it caught my eye so much that I let a bunch of people come in and underage drink in this bar. But it was her. And so, but here's the thing. I told my friend, I said, I don't know who that is, but I'm going to know her, and I'm going to meet her, and I didn't claim that she was going to be my wife or anything like that. But I said, there was a statement that I said, I want that. That's just what it was. And so what happened was I pursued that. I went after that. Like I showed up at her work. She promised me she'd be there the next day, and she didn't show up, and I was like, I'll go find you. And so I showed up at her work. Straight up stalker. Like I was like, it was terrible. But here's the thing. When you want something, you will pursue it. When you want a relationship with God, you will pursue it. When you want to be loving, you want to be caring, you will pursue that. You see, when you go, oh, no, I kind of like the idea of that, that's when you stay lazy on the couch. That's when you go, I'm not going to chase after that. I'll wait for it to be delivered to me. I'll just continue to wait for the handout. See, what you have to do is you have to go, I want that. I want it. And when you want it, you will pursue it. And so if you go, I don't want to be, so you have to just have this whole different mentality. You don't want to be selfish? I want to be generous. I want to be loving. I want to be caring. I want to be somebody that people know that they can count on. Now pursue that. Want it and pursue it. And see, you just can't go, I want that, and just go, whatever. You have to be willing to go and do the work for it. Go out and show up. Be there. Be something that they look at. I mean, it's just how you have to get to. And the problem is, it's too often, and it's this generation, and it's this culture that we live in now, that we expect it to be handed to us. We want our faith to be handed to us. We want our beliefs to be handed to us. We want these things to be handed to us, and that is not how Christianity works. That is not how Jesus works. Because Jesus is very clear. Jesus says, you can either follow me or you don't. You have to want to do it. He never once pressures anybody. He never once says you have to do this. It's either yes or no. And if you don't want to, then there's the door. There it is. In fact, there's lots of times where Jesus did a miracle and he said, don't even tell anybody about this. Because I don't want all the looky-loos. All I want is people that really want to follow me. And see, that's really, really wants. He wants people that want him. So here's the question. What do you really want? What do you really want? And so if you have that mentality of going, this is what I really want, then you'll be able to move in that direction. I want Jesus. Well, then pursue him. Chase after him. Chase after me, like how I did. Chase after that that woman that you were pursuing. In your case, you'd be pursuing Jesus, right? That same way that I pursued her. Like she knew. So like there was no doubt. Like when I showed up, she was like, oh yeah, he definitely likes me. That's how it has to be. That's where your mind needs to be. What are you chasing after? Let's pray. Father, thank you. Thank you for helping us cast away our selfish desires, ambitions, our selfishness, and helping us to recognize what we need to be pursuing, what we need to be after, and it's you. Father, help us that as we deny ourselves and we pick up our cross, help us to carry that cross closer to you each and every day. Help us to navigate this culture, this world. Help us to continue to go, we want to be separate from this world, but in this world to reach others for you. We don't want to become so like this world that we are this world. We want to be like you and pursue you and love you and pursue those desires of you rather than continuing to pursue after our own selfish motivations. Father, help us to stop self-obsessing over whatever we consider to be our inequities or whatever we consider to just look at and go, I can't do this or I can't do that, and help us to recognize what we can do and the direction we can go. Father, you love us, and I love what you told Gideon. He says, go with the power that you've already been given. You are a mighty warrior. Go with what you already have. And so as we walk out today, help us to go out with what we already have, what we already have been empowered by you. And as we go out and we can love and we do the work that you've asked us to do, help us to recognize that we are mighty warriors, that you have called us to go out and do mighty things in your name. We just have to be pursuing you. We have to be pursuing that same power that you had in Jesus. It resides within us, and we can go out and do the same works. We just have to believe and live as though we are pursuing you wholeheartedly. Our want is for you, not these selfish desires that we have. Father, as we move forward today, as we walk out, as we do all the work that you've asked us to do, because it is work. It's not a playground, it's a battlefield, and there is work involved. And as we go out to do this work today, help us to persevere. Help us not to grow weary and grow tired, because we know Scripture says that we will reap a harvest. This harvest of people and this harvest of love and this harvest of those around us to be able to help sustain all of us at a level that grows us closer to you. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this message just awakening us. We knew that we were selfish. We knew that we were full of self-desire, and we were full of self-obsession. So help us. Thank you for awakening us and helping us to steer away from that, to pursue you and to pursue the desires you have for our lives. Not to give up everything that we have, not to make it to where we don't have a good time, not to make it to where we don't get rest or don't take naps or don't have any nice things, but to make it to where that our desires are to fulfill the calling that you've placed upon each one of our lives while having all of those things or while having what you have in store for us. Father, thank you. Thank you just for that awakening. Now help us to go do that work. We ask for this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.